This is Blank You Should Watch, where I'll tell you what you should watch, why you should watch it, and what it's similar to. Let's go!
Manga you should read. A Silent Voice. What it is. Shoya Ishida was an elementary school bully to his classmate Shoko Nishimiya, a deaf girl who had recently transferred to his school. He and the rest of his class bully her relentlessly. But when their class is confronted by what they've done, Ishida speaks out and admits that he is guilty. His classmates then immediately turn on him, making him the scapegoat for all their transgressions. He becomes the outsider, bullied and shunned by all of his friends, and he decides that this is all Shoko's fault and directs all of his anger towards her. Eventually, they get in a physical fight together. Shortly after the fight, Shoko's mother transfers her away to a new school. But Ishida is still hated by all of his classmates. They spread rumors about him, warning people what a terrible person he is and not to be friends with him. And this continues till he reaches high school, where he then finally decides to make amends for his past actions as a child. He tracks down Shoko, originally wanting to apologize to her to make himself feel a little bit better about his life. But he then decides that he must try to make real amends for what he's done, to give Shoko back what he had taken from her, to give her the friends and opportunities that he had taken away in elementary school. And it's this beautiful journey that drives the wonderful, amazing story of A Silent Voice. Why you should read it. A Silent Voice, or as it's known in Japanese, Koe no Katachi, was written by Yoshitoko Oima. I totally didn't use a guide for that. The series ran from August 2013 to November 2014. It spans 7 volumes, 6 of which are available in the United States right now, as I can see right here. The 7th one is being released on May 31st, 2016, so it's coming out pretty soon. I stumbled upon this series blindly. I was at a bookstore and I saw the manga, and the cover was captivating in a way. And the name, A Silent Voice, just intrigued me. So I read the back cover, read the first chapter of it, and I knew immediately this was a manga I should read. Let me tell you that I am so grateful that I found this manga. It's probably one of the best blind discoveries I've ever made. This is one of the most beautiful and emotional manga I've ever read. There are plenty of series out there that focus on what it's like to be bullied, to be downtrodden, to be pushed down, but this series does something even more interesting, complex, and important, which is to tell the story of what a bully is like. By focusing on what drove Ishida to be the cruel child we see in this story, you understand a lot of emotions and you recognize a lot of stuff that we all feel, little kids especially. The wanting to have attention, to impress your friends, to be somebody. Ishida tries to rationalize his actions as normal and something that must be done. He feels like he's doing a service to her by doing this to her. That he's telling her what people really feel about her. Ishida's actions, I think, are something that we all can relate to on some level. He's a young child who doesn't understand what he's doing, why what he's doing is wrong. To him, he doesn't get the effect of his actions. And when you see everything flip around on him, you see a child whose worst fears have come to life. On the other side of the coin, you have Shoya, a young girl who just tries to put on her best face to everybody. She apologizes to her bullies when they get in trouble. She tries to help them out and tries to still be friends with them, even though she should rationally hate these people. But she blames all the bullying that happens to her on herself, and the fact that she's different, that she's deaf, that she's inadequate in some way, in her own opinion and the opinion of people around her who keep telling her that that's true. From her perspective, all the bad things that happen to her are things that she thinks she deserves to have happen to her. That right there is what makes this series so special. It's not some immature juvenile revenge plot about how all bullies are scum, and that people who are bullied gotta get their revenge and stop those people who are harassing them with punches or, like, pranks or something. This is about the real struggle of being bullied and how it affects your psyche and how it affects you as a person, how you feel about yourself. That belief of Shoya is that what they tell her is true, or when they bully Ishida, what they tell him is true. That's real. When you feel like you deserve to be bullied, that's a real thing. I know from personal experience that when enough people call you stupid, dumb, all of these different names that I don't really want to reflect on, you start to believe it. You start to feel like that's who you are, that they are telling you who you are, because that's everyone's perception of you. That becomes who you are, and that feels awful. It's this horrible feeling inside of you that you deserve be unhappy. There really aren't enough stories that look at bullying from that perspective, and it's so refreshing to find something that does, that understands that side of it. While seeing a bully get beaten up or talked down to in a series like GTO or Revenge of the Nerds is satisfying in a way, it's only escapism. until you deal with the damage that's inside of you, you really can't move on. And that's what this series is about. It is a deep and emotional story that struck a chord with me in a very rare way. And it's something I encourage everyone to read, even if you yourself weren't bullied. It's a good way to get into the mindset of someone who was, and the mindset of people who do those things to other people. What it's similar to. This is probably the hardest what it's similar to section I've ever had to write, because I really don't know of anything like this. There's a lot of things I could talk about that like put bullies in their place. I mentioned one earlier, GTO. There's a whole thing about how the great teacher Onizuka beats up bullies and puts them in their place. And I love that series. That series is great, but it's not the same thing. Talking about bullying in like an after-school special, or like you just gotta stand up to them, that's one thing. But it's not really what A Silent Voice is about. A Silent Voice is more about dealing with that emotion of it. Dealing with the actual emotional trauma of it. As far as I know, I haven't seen a lot of things that deal with that in that way. Really, the only thing that came to my mind was a young adult novel I read when I was in high school called The Adventures of Fanboy and Goth Girl. Now, when I read it in high school, I related to it a lot. There were thoughts that went through the main character's head that had gone through my head, and I didn't think anyone else could think like that, or that, like, specific things that rung so true to me. As someone who felt a little outside of everything. He was a little distant from everything, you know? But it's been years since I've read that story, and I can't say if it's aged well. The book and A Silent Voice do a great job of really digging into the complexities of people, making everyone fleshed out. They're not one-dimensional characters that just, like, try to feel like they're human. They actually feel like they're human. But again, that was years ago that I read that story, and I don't know if it held up well, so... But if you like that book, I'm certain you're gonna love A Silent Voice. Conclusion. A Silent Voice is one of the most heartfelt and emotional stories I've ever experienced. While there were a few chapters near the end that almost lost me, that really didn't affect the story overall to me that much. This is without a doubt a manga you should read, and when the anime comes out in fall 2016, is for sure an anime you should watch.
We've been doing this for so long, and yet it's come to this. We feel you've been treating us wrong, yet you sit there and insist. No, you two are great. Why don't you just wait? Just know this, there is no hate. But let me translate.